Russia will veto establishing a United Nations tribunal over the MH17 crash last year. The vote is taking place on Wednesday. Well, let's bring in political analyst Sergei Trifkovich for more information and to discuss this further, who joins us live now here on RT International. Thank you very much. Good to see you there. So Russia's envoy to the UN then says that a tribunal is unlikely to deliver any solid results. Let's take a listen at exactly what he had to say.
The MH17 investigation is in two parts. One team is conducting a technical investigation, which Russian experts have only limited access to. While 5 countries are also conducting a criminal investigation. We know nothing about that investigation, as it's being carried out in secret. We understand that any tribunal would be based on that secret investigation, but that's like being offered a pig in a poke, and accepting that would be rash.
Mr. Trifkovich, what do you make of Churkina's points there? Are they valid concerns?
Absolutely, because if we look at the actual 5 countries, it's the Netherlands, Belgium, Australia, Malaysia, and Ukraine, which of course has an axe to grind in the proceedings. Of course, Belgium and the Netherlands are NATO members. Australia is a close ally of the United States. And it is to be feared, it is greatly to be feared, that this investigation will be politically motivated and that its results are almost preordained. The second problem is that the experience we've had so far with UN tribunals has been most unsatisfactory. In particular, I have in mind the International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia at The Hague, which is a political body par excellence. Let us just recall that it unsealed the indictment against Slobodan Milosevic at the height of the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in the spring of 1999. So the combination of the two, on the one side, an investigation which is most likely to be politically motivated and where it is absolutely impossible to even imagine that they would allow the possibility of Ukraine being the guilty party in the proceedings. And then the experience with these politicized tribunals.
Okay, Mr. Trifkovich, sorry to interrupt. You mentioned the former UN tribunals there. Vitaly Churkin also said that a tribunal on an air crash of this type would be one of the first of its kind. Let's listen to what he had to say on this topic.
What's being proposed is the creation of a tribunal on the basis of the UN Charter's Chapter 7, dealing with threats to peace and security. But never before has a tribunal been established when a passenger jet was downed. For example, when a Russian plane was downed by the Ukrainian army in 2001, or when an Iranian jet was shot down by the US over the Persian Gulf in 1988.
So if there's no precedent of a tribunal of this kind, why are there calls for one now, do you think?
Because the countries sanctioning Russia, the countries that have a political interest in condemning either Russia directly or indirectly by establishing, quote unquote, that it was the rebels in eastern Ukraine armed with Russian weapons that downed the plane, that would of course be more grist for the mill of the propaganda machine in the Western world. And let me repeat, the experience with UN tribunals so far is that once the Secretary General has the blank check to appoint the judges and other officials, it is done more or less on automatic pilot in the interest of the predominant political party. And of course, Ban Ki-moon comes from South Korea, and we know that South Korea too is a close ally of the US. This would be a propaganda circus with all the attendant media distortions that we've seen over the past year and a half. And I think that Russia is well advised not only to veto the resolution, but to demand the establishment of a truly independent international commission of inquiry that would include the representatives of the Russian side. Because the way this investigation has been conducted so far does not inspire any confidence whatsoever that its findings will be objective and truthful.
You say if there is a UN tribunal, there'll be media distortions that come with it. Those were your words. Do you think that could affect or have any effect on the official investigation? Of course, we're still waiting for the results of that.
Oh, I think that the official investigation is also an automatic pilot. And even though the proceedings are secret, once its results are unveiled in October, I think that it's an even bet that the Eastern Ukrainian rebels will be blamed, and indirectly Russia, of course, and that the scenario, which is very likely, that the Ukrainians themselves were involved with all the hidden tapes of pre-crash conversations and so on, will not even be tackled.